Hello, everyone, and welcome to another exciting episode of Attack of Opportunity. I am GM Jeff Paul, your host, and tonight, Attack of Opportunity is back, or at least trying to finish out our first season years later, and, just leaving the door open. You might find yourself a content creator, podcast trying to start out, or maybe I will touch base with you again in a few years and see how these content creators have grown. Michael Kasevin, I've interviewed more than once, and the list goes on. So tonight, in the hot seat, we have Andrew Malburg, a fan. Now everyone talks about Doug Baldwin, Star Wars, right? Andrew Malburg was a fan of the Age of Ashes podcast, The Elven Portal podcast, Pathfinder's second edition launch podcast. And he watched a bunch of our shows. He roamed into our Discord, got chatting with us. Time went by, and I decided to do sort of a cold casting call for Abomination Vaults around the time that we lost Troy Phillips, who you'll meet a little later. And we did a little side thing where Troy took the party with his one character, and we had introduced like 5 or 6 new players that were doing this extended cameo, ran a bunch of encounters with them, and in that mix, we managed to pick up both Drew Malburg and Joseph Davis, who stayed on and played in Abomination Vaults. Davis was a big hit in Outlaws of Alkenstar, the show that came after, and Drew's characters have become, shall we say, legend, or at least legend in their own minds. Please welcome to the show, Drew Malburg.
Oh, thanks for having me.
My pleasure, sir. So the first question that we always like to answer ask to you, is how did you first know when you were a geek, a nerd, video game, role-playing game, tabletop inclined, one of us?
That's a hard question. Back in school, it was video games, Final Fantasy, Baldur's Gate, things like that. But then I never got into tabletop role-playing games until, what was that? 2020, 2019. Started looking at it. And then we decided on Pathfinder, second edition. And that's where I kind of found you guys. So you guys were playing and going through the rules and everything, which really helped me out. Because you guys were making a lot of mistakes, and that was great, because I was making a lot of the same mistakes. And so being able to see you guys work through it and everything helped me work through it. And then there was other things that, helped us along. But and then you guys started doing Fantasy Grounds, right? And that was another thing, because we were doing maps and little characters and things like that. But it was getting a little hard to do that. And so going to a computer system could potentially give us a lot of leeway in our family game time. And so we started looking at that too. So we kind of just followed you guys and just copied you. So
messed up. Thank you. That's right. We're here for you, man. Every trip of the way, as opposed to step of the way. When I said one of us, you mentioned us. You talking about your gaming group, your buddies, your family? Who's, if you don't mind me asking, who's the us?
Oh, sure. Family. So it's my son. He's 16 now.
Oh, nice.
And he's actually the one that usually, every weekend, can we play Pathfinder? Can we? So he's usually the ones that keeps us on track. Otherwise, we'd probably go a month without playing or something.
Oh, that's good. That's keep the interest going. Yeah, it's good.
Yeah. No, we probably mainly do it for him. If he didn't enjoy it, I don't think we'd play. And then
wait a minute, you're like Monday and Friday shows for my son, Jeff. I have no interest in you and your shows. So my son has. Yeah.
No, I would play with you guys, but at home, If he wasn't into it,
Such
we probably
dedication.
wouldn't play at home.
Do you realize, son, I'm on a podcast just for you? Sorry, it's hard to believe you now.
And then the other player's my wife, so it's just the three of us around the house.
Hey, nothing wrong with intimate game. I used to play with my daughter and her boyfriend when she was a late teen. My son, we got him into Star Wars RPG when he was about 15, and wife and friends weren't too into it, and I reached out to Matt Witt and Corey Chazon, who's lurking in the lobby right now, and they were like, "Oh, I'm busy, come play some D&D, come play some Pathfinder, busy, and then I changed my tune to Star Wars, and Corey's like, still busy. Matt's like, yeah, what time? Because it was Star Wars. Like teasing him that changing the table game suddenly made him available, right? He claims his schedule's cleared up. I call bullshit on that. But yeah, no, dude, I totally get it. Passing down your passion, your love for tabletop RPGs to a young family member, or sharing said experience with your significant other, such fun, right? So they say. And yet, you start mixing friends and family or couples and all this stuff. It can be a slippery slope, because you have personal relationships that don't overlap so well with gaming relationships, especially if someone tries to be a bugger. Now, I remember Corey and my wife, because before we went all Zoom, I had set up a smaller studio, and Corey would come over to the house, and my wife would cameo in some of the games. And this is when we were trying to launch some of the other GMs, and the two of them would get a couple beers in them while I'm trying to GM sober or just play, and they had a rootin' tootin' poking ha good time, and kind of got off the rails, but fond memories, right? And we'll take that from you. We'll say that you have fond memories. I have fond memories. So late bloomer, 2019 kind of thing. You talked about Baldur's Gate being the gateway drug, as we like to say.
Neverwinter Nights.
Oh yeah.
I was trying to think of what else I might have played that was adjacent. Oh, I read a lot of Dritz Duerden books when I was in high school.
Oh, the R. Salvatore.
Yeah. Gosh, I probably read a good over 10 of them, and now I've stopped. But I don't know how many he has now.
I read 20 and then stopped, and we were still going. Oh, come on. The fight scenes alone, like the sword fight scenes and stuff that he'd describe, you have the same character with the same two scimitars, and he would make every sword fight fresh and new. That really got me right there,
Yeah. I think I saw something about he has kids now or something, and I was like, whoa.
Yeah, and one of them wrote a book. One of them that he backed as an author.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I stopped before any of that. I think he was... I don't remember. Did he have a wife, maybe? A human wife? I don't really remember.
Don't know. Maybe his kid's an android? I mean, that's the other option, right? You get a waifu, right? Is your kid like an android? How's that work out? I didn't track his personal life. I remember they have that story. There's a streamer called Ninja, and he took a big chunk of money to play Fortnite, and now he hates it because that's all he plays because of his contract, and he started hating the game. And I think this is what happened with Salvatore, was he wanted to expand his world, his repertoires, whatever, and he had a deal with Wizards of the Coast, and they're like, nope, another Dritz book, please. Nope, another Dritz book, please. Oh, we're changing to 5th edition. There's a big gap in the timeline, like 100 years or something. Make it happen. Elves will be around, right? And I read through that timeline gap, and it was kind of interesting. A lot of them died. Some were reincarnated. Some didn't come back until that first book, where 100 years later, right? Even his nemesis, Artemis Entreri, the one guy that could go toe-to-toe, his longsword and dagger versus Dritz's two scimitars, got cursed. Or there was a theory that his vampiric dagger that he was drawing life hit points from just absorbed so much the dude just stopped aging at one point, and you had this guy that's like 40, 45, not as fast as he used to be. And he got enslaved by Tiefling, and the dude changed his name, took his identity, and all, and he was fighting to get out of that sort of life and back into, something, freedom, right? But anyway, great author, one of my favorite authors of all time. No matter what happens with him now, or even though I stopped reading the books, I would recommend those books to anyone, especially Game Master, Dungeon Master, because of the narrative, of the story flow, all the introspective thoughts of the characters, and the way they described combat. So it's not just I go up and I whack him with my sword, definitely. Do you have any other authors or inspiration, games and things that might be responsible for bringing you to said table?
Gosh, there was a trilogy. There's been a couple of trilogies. I don't know if a lot of people know about them. One was the Spear Wielder trilogy. It was like, isekai kind of thing where, the Japanese person dies or whatever, and they're reincarnated in this other world. It's
isekai?
Isekai. Sorry, I didn't know how to pronounce that.
I probably got it wrong, but go ahead.
It wasn't.
Drew's
like
asking me how to pronounce English words. Everybody, ha 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 ha.
You fell into my trap, Jeff.
Yeah. It's also, but I do know that's Spear Wielder's Tale. That's a series by R. Salvatore.
Yeah, I think it's also RA.
Yep.
It wasn't that he died, but he went through like a portal, and so he's in this new world with like gnomes and dwarves and elves and all that stuff. So that was really cool. I liked that. And then there was another one. I don't know if anybody knows this one, but it's called the Cold Fire trilogy. And they're on another planet or something, and it has like this magic force. But the magic force is like emanating from the planet itself. And I think they actually traveled from another planet like hundreds of years ago and landed on this planet and like lost a bunch of technology and stuff like that, because of the harsh realities of the world. And there was like this priest, kind of going around and like he was this like cleric almost, and then he was fighting against some evil things. One of the main characters is like this guy who sold his soul and basically became a vampire. But he ended up having to like work with them in order to fight other, evil entities or something. And I actually thought that was a pretty cool trilogy.
I know. You're talking about Celia S. Friedman series. Came out in 91 and boxed at 95. The last series, 93 to 95. I love shows and stuff where the first season bad guy ends up being like their frenemy in number 2, and then third season it's like, I gotta help you, there's a big world problem. Been watching the old series Supernatural with my wife, and there's this crossroads demon, they call him, where he'd make a deal for your soul, 10 years and it's up. And he's this British Scottish dude, like Crowley, renames himself Crowley, and dude's got such suave charm, he became a fan favorite. And they worked into the story how he took over hell, but it was like a business and he wasn't doing so well with it, and becomes this fan favorite where he ends up helping the main characters and having a bromance, as opposed to I'll get you next time, like the whole Scooby-Doo kind of thing, right? Getting back to video games, how long have you been a gamer?
Oh gosh, ever since I was probably 5 or 6, going back to Blockbuster and renting video games on the NES. Gosh, I would say one of the earliest memories I have of that is like, I think for Christmas or something, we rented a game. What was it? Something about the Olympics. And they had like a pad you put on the ground and you could like step on it. And it was like your guy was running or something. And then you figured out how to cheat it. You'd get down onto the ground and you'd start slapping it with your hands, going as fast as you can.
Like a Wii mode or Wii pod kind of thing. I think of something like that.
Yeah,
Oh,
like
cool.
early days Wii remote or something.
I could picture that. Just to win, you just find yourself like two knees on the carpet, whack, 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 whack. That's really funny. Yeah, skipping over my tangent where I talk about renting GameCubes and playing GoldenEye and all that stuff. So would you say that Pathfinder 1 and then 2, like that's your go-to RPG these days?
Yeah, those are my go-to. But with you guys, I also play Star Wars Saga and Savage Rune.
The Savage Worlds series.
Savage Worlds, yeah.
Yeah.
Both are actually pretty interesting. Like it's different, but they both have their, rules that make sense, and it's interesting to see it from different perspectives and things. Like Savage Worlds is far different than most of the other RPGs or tabletop RPGs I've played. So it's been a nice little I don't know what you call it, a fresh take.
What would you say is the main difference between something like Pathfinder and Savage World system?
I mean, other than just it's still the same dice, but the dice is smaller in Savage Worlds. And it feels like it's supposed to go faster. Like the battles aren't nearly as long. The turns can still take a little while. I would also say that the rules are maybe shortened a little bit, so it's a little bit easier to kind of get into. But like any tabletop role playing game, there's that initial hurdle to like read all the rules and figure everything out. But I feel like once you kind of do that, I mean, you just kind of go with it. Whereas like Pathfinder, there's rules upon rules upon rules, which is great for a lot of people. But I can see how some people might not, super like that. They're like, all right, let's just get on with it. Let's play. And I think Savage World kind of, does that a little bit better, maybe for those people that just want to get into the gaming and not read the rules too much.
I agree. Savage Worlds is what do you call, like a morph system? You can take this dice rule set and they have like every genre for Savage Worlds. The big differences I found were, first of all, your stats, strength, dex, and everything are still there, but instead of like 3 or 18 or I want an 18, it's an actual dice. You start at like a D4 for your strength, and if you want to up it, you invest in getting a D6 and you invest in getting a D10 and a D8, that kind of thing. You mentioned the dice were smaller. Were you referring to the DCs? Like you got to hit a smaller number to succeed, right? You got to hit a 4 instead of in Pathfinder, you're trying to hit 15 or 20. I'm assuming is what you're referring to there. Playing cards whapped on the table for initiative order. Still making my head spin. But if you would like to see Mr. Malburg and myself as a player for once, not just GMing, our podcast is called The Savage Rune. And Paizo contracted out, loaned out, rented out, royaltied out their very first adventure path called Rise of the Rune Lords, which is legendary at this point. It's been redone a couple times. So there's a Savage Worlds Rise of the Rune Lords, or Savage Worlds Galorian is what they call it. Pathfinder's gaming world being called Galorian. And off we go. And, big hitters like Matt Witt, Ryan Messina join us. In that system, you play kind of the straight man, where you usually play someone a little bit more like support or geeky or nerdy or silly, or someone even unstable sometimes the characters. Getting back to maybe your favorite system, do you have a favorite race or class or race class combo?
Not really. I like trying out all the different races and trying to come up with, some kind of voice or mentality around them. But honestly, like if I had to pick something, it would usually be human. I guess it's more relatable in a lot of ways, and they're just kind of flexible in what they can do.
Right on. You said you had a home game. You mentioned the newest system. I'm reading my next questions and I'm like, oh, he's answered that. Nope, he's answered that one. Or actually, that's only no, that's good. That's good. Most of my interviews go 20 to 40 minutes anyway. How often do you get to play a month in the home game? You say it was every weekend, maybe?
We probably do it on average every other weekend.
Oh, okay. Now I feel like I'm taking family time. Like you play with us Monday until your job takes you away, but you're still here. You play with us every Friday because you said your job was going to take you from Monday and we slotted you in Friday. And now you're doubling, like you're logging more hours than Matt Witt these days. Up until recently. What shows are you in? What do you play? Who do you play? And where can we find you next? Do you have other internet presence and content creation or anything besides us, besides being a rollmonger?
Nope. Just you guys. I don't think I have time for anything else.
All right. Can you give us a quick breakdown of the show you're in, the character you play?
Sure. So Abomination Vaults, I play a little, they used to be called Grippleys, right? I don't know.
They're called a Trip Key now.
Trip Key. That's right. It's so close.
Yeah.
But different enough. Dubsy. And so he kind of talks like this, and he's a little rogue guy, and he's a little stabby go-getter. He's actually really fun to play. I like playing him. And then in our Wild West one,
Outlaws of Alkenstar.
Outlaws of Alkenstar. Thank you. I play a older gentleman. I'll call him gentleman. Kind of out from the mana wastes. Maybe he has some mana waste sickness, or maybe he's really old, or maybe he's just pretending. But he's a little crazy. Druid, and he does a lot of water spells and heals and things like that. He has some crazy good moments. I really love the watermelon helmet and all that, and my little Leshy guy, like always
You're
around my
talking
leg.
about Charwin.
Charwin, yeah.
Yeah, Charwin. Okay. And then in the Friday night shows, we have you doing sort of an extended cameo for season 3 of our Age of Ashes podcast, right?
Yep. I'm playing a continuation of a character that used to be in Abomination Vaults, Karam. So he's a halfling investigator, and he just racks up precision damage. So as long as it's not like an ooze or something, he's been doing pretty good.
All right. And possibly coming up soon in 2026. Any new projects have got you? I mean, someone might invest you in.
I think you're hinting at Dice Before Dishonor.
Why? I know that show.
Yeah. So the plan is, we'll see if it sticks. Is I'd be playing a cleric with the archetype of Cavalier. And he's going to be having the deity Sheelan. And it's going to be all about beauty and art.
In the sort of like French Renaissance part of the world in Glorian that is Taldor. So just to recap, we are playing Abomination Vaults on Mondays, the Monster Interrupted podcast, or Outlaws of Alkenstar, the All Guns No Glory podcast. Then we move to Friday, where you can find us playing Pathfinder's Age of Ashes, and hopefully beyond January, February, we're going to start up Dice for Dishonor again. Of course, we're always playing Star Wars. It's our biggest show. Not even Pathfinders. It's still the Star Wars Saga Edition series, and Saga Edition Dice was based on. It was supposed to be a prototype for D&D 4th Edition, which didn't do well, but they didn't keep everything that they explored in Star Wars, which obviously was broken. They tried to fix it to move into 4th Edition D&D, and I don't find them that. There's a couple basic things, but that much alike. So I don't want to stain Star Wars Saga by mentioning 4th Edition D&D, but it is a fact in itself that's what I believe what they were going for. Thank you, Drew, for being on Attack of Opportunity. Thank you, audience listener, for putting up with my little tangents. we joked around with the idea of Rollmonger's Light. The official launch of the new episodes, I have cut down tangents on both sides, mostly my own, to make the interviews flow better. And it's more the guest and not just me going off on anecdotes or, trying to make the guest say more interesting. But if you are a patron member for Rollmongers at www.patreon.com at any tier, $2 tier and up, we release the footage to you on that platform. Now, we talked about not paywalling anything, and we do not. Paizo legally won't let us. But this show is our own, and we offer early access to everything and free access eventually for all our Paizo shows, the Star Wars shows. This show, since it's our own baby, again, we're not trying to hide it behind a paywall, but we are trying to give like bonus content to our patrons. So it's like you get the longer version, you get the uncut version, not as polished, get to see how the sausage is made, as it were, if that's what you're into. And we will see you next time on
Attack of Opportunity.
Yeah, that's right. He's back. But I'm sorry, Matt, you're not getting another interview. This is like a total. It's a total.
How about a hero point?
Matt Damon, Jimmy Kimmel situation. Not happening. Good night, everybody.